You know what the Phoenix Suns, the LA Lakers, the Golden State Warriors, and the Milwaukee Bucks all have in common right now? They are all not top 3 seeds in their conference. 76 out of 78 NBA champions in the history of the NBA have been top 3 seeds. And 52 out of 78 have been the number 1 seeds. Some of these teams have below a 5% chance on winning the 2025 NBA Finals, but they are trying to operate as teams that are just one move away from winning it all, when realistically, they don't really have a shot at winning it all this year. And yes, the Miami Heat went to the NBA Finals in 2020 as a 5 seed or in 2023 as an 8 seed, but both those years they failed to win it all. And what we're seeing right now from the Lakers with LeBron James, we don't really know how many years he has left in the NBA. With the Warriors trying to win it all with Steph Curry, even the Suns going all in with this big 3, and same with the Milwaukee Bucks not having a lot of draft capital or young assets, trying to trade all of those away to pair up a new big 3 with Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, might end up hurting some of these teams in the long run. Shams Charania recently of ESPN basically came out with a report saying that the Lakers and the Warriors are getting pressured by their stars to make moves that can help them compete for an NBA title here in 2025. And usually when these reports come out, it's players hinting at the reporter that they want to put pressure on their front office. We've seen it plenty of times in the past with LeBron James over in Los Angeles or in Cleveland. And he mentions in that piece that sources told ESPN that LeBron James and Anthony Davis are growing concerned about the Lakers' ability to make significant roster upgrades with their 2 tradable first rounders. LeBron, a 4-time champion, and Anthony Davis, a 1-time champion, have expressed that they want the franchise to make moves to contend for a championship, with the co-stars believing the Lakers are potentially a piece or 2 away. Yes, the Lakers have been playing like a top 7 seed in the Western Conference for most of the season, but they are currently the 13th ranked team in terms of offensive rating and the 23rd ranked team in terms of defensive rating. You just don't see those teams that are outside the top 10 in both offensive and defensive rating compete for an NBA championship. They recently just got embarrassed by the LA Clippers, who also probably are not going to be competing for an NBA title. There is a clear talent gap between the top of the Western Conference right now and where the LA Lakers are. And the problem the Lakers currently have, one of their best players on the team is 40 years old. LeBron James may retire at the end of this season or at the end of next year's season. So it's going to be hard for the Lakers to compete. And I really like them going out and trading for Dorian Finney-Smith just because they can work on an extension to bring him back, and the Lakers desperately needed to add some defense. And DFS was a big addition. Max Christie is stepping up as of late. Austin Reeves is playing very good as of late, where he's averaging 18 points and 6 assists on the season and is shooting 36% from 3. They can get good offense out of Dalton Connect and Rui Hachimura at times as well, but Rui is going to be one of those big trade pieces because of his $17 million a year salary. And Shams mentions in that article they've been without Jared Vanderbilt, who is returning soon, and Christian Wood. But let's just say that out loud again. Jared Vanderbilt and Christian Wood, those are not the pieces that can come back and help you win a title. Chet Holmgren coming back to OKC, yeah, that's going to help them win a title. This is not the same thing going on in LA. And they also don't have many of their future first round picks because they traded a lot to get Anthony Davis back in 2019. At least they got a title in 2020, but then they also had to dump a 2027 first to get off of the Russell Westbrook contract back in 2023. The Atlanta Hawks own their first round pick this year. They can't trade their 2026 first round pick yet because of the step-in rule, because of that 2027 first that's going to Utah from the Russ salary dump. That means they can't trade their 2028 first. They can trade their 2029 first, their 2031 first, and they can do a pick swap on their 2030 first round pick. But who's going to be the player that the Lakers go after? Are they going to create a big 3? Are they going to try to get a really good role player? I'm scared that they're going to mortgage their future just to add a player that's not going to make them that much better, and they're just going to end up as a first or second round exit, and then LeBron's going to end up retiring and they're not going to have a future. As for the Golden State Warriors, they're basically in the same difficult position as the LA Lakers. And Shams in the article mentioned that Steph Curry, like LeBron in the twilight years of his career, has been taking a different approach. He's professing patience with the direction of this team. He has been in constant communication with the Warriors leadership, and though Golden State has probed for another star to pair with Curry and Draymond Green, the bigger names who might be available have not appealed to all parties. And I agree with this. There is no reason to go all in for a high-end role player or an aging star that's not going to put Steph Curry and Draymond Green over the hump. And I know Kevin O'Connor of Yahoo recently put out an article coming up with Steph Curry or Draymond Green trade ideas. And honestly, if we take feelings out of the equation and we just take out what Steph Curry and Draymond Green have done for this franchise, and we look at them as just objective pieces on this team, yeah, they should trade them. This team is not winning a title this year or next year. I don't believe anybody's going to become available that can make this team a contending team with Steph Curry and Draymond Green edging. Unless it's Giannis or Jokic or Shea, this team is not winning a title with whoever becomes available on the market, because their best names are Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski, and Jonathan Kuminga. Some of those guys have not helped their trade value this year. They do own all their first round picks going forward, so they could include those in a trade, but it goes back to what I said about the LA Lakers before. They should not mortgage their future. Mortgage the future, which is going to not consist of Steph Curry and Draymond Green, just to try to end up being a 3 seed or end up in the Western Conference semifinals this year or next year. It's just not worth it. I know it sucks, and I know you want to try to go all in for your aging star and win them a title, but you shouldn't make a move just to make a move. You're seeing what the Phoenix Suns are doing right now. They're going all in. Could it end in a disaster? Yeah, and it's looking like that, and they just traded away their 2031 first round pick to the Utah Jazz. They don't own any of their first round picks directly for the next 6 years. That is really scary if they're not able to win an NBA Finals with this core. And you add in everything going on with the second apron, the new CBA, and it's harder than ever to make moves on the margin to go out and win a title. And if the Suns are always going to be operating as a second apron team, they're never going to be able to get anybody in the buyout market. They can't trade 2 players for 1 player to shed some salary. They can't aggregate those players in a trade. And if they become repeat offenders again in the second apron, their first round pick 6 years from now goes to the end of the first round. That is terrifying. Like, what if we're just in the year 2032 and you're finally tanking and rebuilding and you end up with like the 4th overall pick after the lottery, and it's got to go all the way down to 30? That is just like some type of video game scenario that could happen. As for Milwaukee, they still have one of the best players in the NBA. I feel like we're taking what Giannis is doing for granted. He's putting up 30 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists every single night. We're in the middle of his prime as he's now 30 years old, but he has an aging co-star in Damian Lillard, who's not a great defender, but is having a bounce back offensive season from what we saw in his first year in Milwaukee last year. The Bucks have been playing better as of late, and that's with Chris Middleton moving to the bench. But this team has a lot of aging players as well. Bobby Portis is due for a new contract soon. They're not going to have the bird rights on Gary Trent Jr. to re-sign him, and they don't have the best young core in the world. They fumbled the development on Marjon Beauchamp. I don't think they've done a great job on Andre Jackson. I didn't mind AJ Johnson and Tyler Smith as prospects, but that is not what the Bucks needed. They needed win now talent. They left Ryan Dunn on the board. I know he has his offensive weakness, but he could really help out this Bucks team defensively. Or what if they went after other NBA ready talent in the 2024 draft, like Jonathan Mogbo or Kyle Filipowski, Jalen Wells, or AJ Mitchell? Just these guys could have helped out the Milwaukee Bucks a little bit more. They also don't own many of their first round picks going forward from the Drew Holiday trade, from the Damian Lillard trade. And similar to Phoenix, they do not own their first round pick till 2031. It's either a swap worst or they just have to give it away completely to another team. And that's not the future you want to have. You want to be able to set yourself up for sustainable success, like the Memphis Grizzlies are doing, like the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Orlando Magic, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and what all these teams are doing, developing their young talent, making sure they have a good amount of draft picks, because players are going to have to leave in free agency, because with this new CBA, they can't afford to go over the first or second apron to retain these guys. So you need cheap young talent, and that's what these first round picks or second round picks can be for these teams. The Miami Heat are obviously entering into the post Jimmy Butler era as well. Tyler Hero has been an all-star this year, and he's been borderline an all NBA talent. And even with Bam Adebayo taking a step back this year, I've seen the progression from Jaime Jaquez, Nikola Jovic, and recently Kel'el Ware. And there could be some really fun 2 big man lineups with Bam and Kel'el Ware out there at the same time, especially if Kel'el Ware's 3-point shot is for real. This team is going to have a little bit more cap relief going forward. They're looking back on that Terry Rozier trade. They probably regret that a little bit, because now they don't own a first round pick in 2027 or 2028, and they have to pay Terry Rozier a decent amount of money. But Duncan Robinson's contract is going to be expiring soon. Miami has had no issue getting big stars to come to South Beach in the past, with LeBron James and Chris Bosh earlier there in the 2010s, and Jimmy Butler back in 2019. And I think it was smart that Miami didn't give Jimmy Butler that extension he wanted in the offseason, where you were going to commit $50+ million a year to an aging star, and I don't think you were going to be able to win in the Eastern Conference, just with the way the Cavs and the Celtics have been playing over the year. And I know you'd get playoff Jimmy, but it's easier said than done, and I don't know if we're going to see that same 2023 Jimmy Butler ever again. So that's going to be for me. Let me know what you guys think the direction of these teams are. Do you think the Lakers, the Warriors, the Bucks, the Suns should go all in this year and next year, and they should try to get their aging stars a ring? Or do you think they realize that these moves aren't really going to do much in the big picture, and they're really just mortgaging their future for maybe one more playoff series win this year? Drop a thumbs up if you guys enjoy. Subscribe if you're not already. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.